The Bear and the Journey in Search of Honey. Once upon a time, in a deep and enchanted forest, there lived a bear named Bruno. Bruno was no ordinary bear. He was known throughout the forest for his kindness, bravery, and especially for his love of honey. Every day, Bruno would wander through the woods, sniffing the air for the sweet scent of honey, and he would always find just enough to satisfy his cravings. But one year, something strange happened. The bees that made the honey had mysteriously vanished, and there was no more honey to be found. Bruno was heartbroken. Without honey, his days felt empty, and his joy was gone. He knew he couldn't live without it, so he decided to go on a great journey to find the bees and bring back the honey to his forest. Early the next morning, Bruno packed his little backpack with some berries and nuts and set off on his adventure. The forest was thick and wild, but Bruno was determined. He walked for days, crossing rivers, climbing hills, and navigating through dense trees. As he walked, Bruno met many different animals. First, he met a wise old owl named Oliver, who lived in a tall, ancient tree. Oliver listened to Bruno's story and said, "The bees you seek have flown to the faraway Meadow of Flowers. It's a long journey, but if you follow the North Star, it will guide you there." Bruno thanked Oliver and continued on his way. The journey was difficult. He had to cross a wide, roaring river. There he met a clever beaver named Betsy, who helped him build a raft to float across. "Thank you, Betsy," Bruno said as he paddled to the other side. Next, Bruno reached a dark and eerie forest where the trees seemed to whisper secrets. He met a sly fox named Felix, who tried to trick Bruno into going the wrong way. But Bruno remembered the North Star and stayed on the right path. Finally, after many days and nights, Bruno reached the Meadow of Flowers. The sight was breathtaking. The meadow was covered in a blanket of colourful flowers, and the air was filled with the sound of buzzing bees. Bruno's heart leapt with joy as he saw the bees working busily, gathering nectar from the flowers. Bruno approached the queen bee, who was resting on a golden flower. "Your Majesty," he said, bowing his head, "I come from the forest where the honey has disappeared. I ask you to return with your bees so that we may have honey once more." The queen bee looked at Bruno with kind eyes. "Dear Bruno," she said, "we left your forest because the flowers there were wilting and there was no nectar for us to gather. If you wish for us to return, you must promise to take care of the flowers and the trees." Bruno promised, and with that, the queen bee and her bees flew back with him to the forest. When they arrived, Bruno worked tirelessly, planting seeds and watering the flowers. The other animals in the forest joined in, and soon the forest was blooming with life again. The bees returned to their hives and began making honey once more. Bruno was overjoyed, and the whole forest celebrated. From that day on, Bruno made sure to take care of the flowers and the trees, and the bees never left again. And so, Bruno lived happily ever after, with all the honey he could ever want, knowing that his journey had not only brought back the honey, but had also taught him the importance of caring for his home. The end.